the English Premier League season keeps rolling on rapidly, and for the top clubs who are also in the Champions League or indeed in the Europa League, they're playing far too many games. Players are getting injured. The stadiums are still empty. But nevertheless, there is some extraordinary stories, and one of them is Manchester City. I've been qualified fan of Pep Guardiola's all through his career, not at Barcelona, obviously, but he hasn't won the Champions League for a very long time, and he's been with very big clubs trying to do it. And the reason I always thought was he didn't pay enough attention to getting a good, rock-solid defence. That means his teams always have to score more goals than they really should have to score. And if he ever turned his mind to having a team with a solid defence, then it would be the time to really celebrate him. And that's precisely what he's done. And I'm joined now by John Giles, who doesn't really need an introduction. John, Manchester City have changed for the better, in my view, with Stones and this new centre-half Ruben Dias, who they bought from Portugal. At the heart of their defence, they have Cancelo, a right-back as well, or a left-back. He can play anywhere, this guy. He can play in midfield as well. This is a real team, isn't it, now? As strong at the back, giving very few goals away. I mean, they've only conceded 16 goals all season in 26 matches. And that is the basis, isn't it, really, of any team, especially a team trying to win the Champions League.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that, definitely. I think, you spend as much time defending as you do attacking. But you'd have to say, and what he did, and I would agree with you, I think there wasn't enough emphasis on it, but he was very, very successful doing what he did.
Oh, he was, yeah, in the domestic leagues, in Germany.
Well, he won the European Cup twice.
Yep. Yeah.
He has won the European Cup twice. And I'm not as much concerned about the European Championships, as you would be.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's a bigger thing to win the Premiership than the Champions League.
Right.
I do. I think it's a consistency over 38 matches, like Liverpool did last year. There's a consistency. Whereas in the Champions League, I think, you get teams win the Champions League and they've lost 3 or 4 matches because it's a knockout competition.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's only my take on it. But I think I would totally agree with you that there should have been more emphasis on defending. And they've definitely done that this year. Conceding very few goals. They got Diaz, who was proven to be a good player, and John Stones, who went out of it, for a couple of seasons, as we know, was a very, very promising player, and seems to be, well, so far this season, back to where I think Guardiola expected him to be.
Yes, and one of the interesting things, they beat West Ham 2-1 at the weekend, and we'll talk about West Ham and the job that David Moyes has done there in a moment. But what's really interesting about Manchester City, this version of Manchester City, is that they haven't had Aguero. They don't have a 20-goal-a-season man. And De Bruyne has been missing for parts of it. But the goals can come from anywhere. And Pep Guardiola made that point at the weekend in his press conference that, the 2 goal scorers on Saturday were the 2 centre-halves, Diaz and John Stones. So even with the handicap of Aguero gone, injured, he had COVID as well, and Jesus not really turning out to be anything special so far, and I don't think he's going to, actually. They get goals from everywhere. Foden, Gundogan, Mahrez. There's lots of players who can score goals now from Manchester City, and I think that makes them stronger.
Well, it probably does. If you can spread the goals around, then you're not dependent on anybody doing it week in and week out. To be fair, the way Aguero actually did.
Yeah.
So if you have a young Aguero, then you're okay, because he's going to get whatever it is, 25, 30 goals a year for you. They don't have that at the moment, so the other players have to chip in, which they are doing. Sterling particularly,
yes,
are doing it. But But I liked him more, Eamon, because of what you advocated, which was defending well.
Yes.
They're giving very, very few goals away, and they're still getting enough goals to win. And I think what happened this season as well, Eamon, which they weren't doing last season, was the thing that really, really made them special was getting the ball back quickly after they lost it.
Yeah, pressing.
Yes, I think they lost that for a while, Eamon, last year. And this season, definitely, all the matches I've seen now them playing, they're really brilliant at it. All of them, getting back at the ball. I mean, I watched them, I don't know, but anyway, I watched them at the weekend which was a very, very good match. West Ham were very good,
yes,
Eamon. And they have been very good, as you mentioned early on. So City had to play well to beat them. I mean, this was no easy match, and they did chip in with the two lads at the back scoring the goals. But it was a first-class game to watch. A bit unlike some of the other matches that we saw. Yeah. So I think they've got that back, Eamon, winning the ball back. And also I think what's helped them is the inconsistencies, obviously, of the teams that you would expect to be consistent.
Yes.
I mean, Liverpool have gone out of it. Our Spurs gone out of it. Arsenal, Chelsea, they're all beating each other while City have gone ahead and win a match after match after match. So it's going to be a hard job to catch them.
Yeah, nobody's going to catch them, John. They're 12 points clear. And in fact, on Saturday against West Ham, on the bench, he left Sterling on the bench, Laporte on the bench, Bernardo Silva on the bench, and this fella João Cancelo, who really is a good player. Just to go on to West Ham, John, both of us, I think, love Declan Rice as a player. What a loss he was to the Irish team. We had him, and he was messed around when O'Neill and Keane were here. They didn't play him, which was just mad in a competitive game. But on the other hand, from Declan Rice's point of view, he is going to be in the England team for a very, very long time. Yeah. And David Moyes has made him captain when his normal captain, Mark Noble, who's in the veteran stage now, isn't playing, and he wasn't on Saturday. Declan Rice captained the team. John, how good is he?
He's very good. I think he's the most complete midfield player in the Premiership, Eamon.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
You know, he's an amazing lad. He's a very tall lad, big lad, strong lad, but he's so mobile.
Yes.
You know, he gets on the ball and he can go away from players and then he can turn it back. You know, his control is very, very good. His attitude is great. I think he's terrific. Terrific lad. You know, I think if I could with any of the top clubs, whether it be Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, I'd pay whatever it needed to be paid for him.
Yes, I mean,
I think he's brilliant, Damon.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think he's going to be one of the great players. He's only 22 or something. He's got a
very
great
young.
future.
And where he was very good, Damon. I don't know if you watched the match previously where Lingard got through and he was taken down for a penalty.
Yes.
And he grabbed the ball to take the penalty.
Yeah.
And Rice went over, because he's the penalty taker, as we know, and took it from him.
Yeah.
And Lingard was insistent that he do it.
Yeah.
And apparently he said to him, look, I'm the penalty taker. And if I give you the penalty and miss it, my manager is going to go crazy at me.
Yeah.
So I have to take the penalty.
Right.
Which he did and scored from it.
Yeah.
But a lot of lads would have said, well, okay, you take it. You got, he didn't.
Yes.
I think he's a really good lad.
And a strong
Excellent
character.
Player.
Yeah, and
terrific lad.
Just a word on David Moyes. He's been around a long time, hugely respected, I think, in the game. One of your closest friends, actually, was his right-hand man at Everton, a former Leeds player, actually. Who was it, John?
Jimmy Lumsden.
Lumsden, who was a squad player at Leeds when you were there.
Yeah, he was good lad, but he was a big pal. He was with Moyes for years at Everton.
And David Moyes is respected in the game.
I met him once with Jimmy. I met him once. He was over in Dublin.
Yeah.
Very down to earth lad.
Yes.
You know, no flash about him at all. Just gets on with the job and is solid in what he does. And has turned him round. And don't forget, they sacked him.
They did,
a couple
yeah.
of years ago.
Yeah.
And they did a good job getting him back. I mean, he's up there. They're a solid team. He's made a good team of them. And he's done a really big job.
And they're fourth in the table as of now in the Champions League positions. And even if they were to qualify for the Europa League, for West Ham, that would be a very big deal indeed. Now, John, yesterday we saw Chelsea, Manchester United. I thought it was a nothing game, really. And I'm not convinced that... I'm not convinced that in Chelsea's case, Thomas Tuchel, their new German coach, is any better than Frank Lampard, but time will tell us about that. What do you make of... First of all, let's take Manchester United, John. Against the top teams, they have a terrible record this year. Against the big, what they call the big six clubs, their record is really poor in terms of points. What they're very good at is knocking over the minnows, home and away, and they've a very good away record. Manchester United, I think they've won 8 games away from home, and they've drawn 5. In fact, they haven't lost a Premier League game away from home. But when it comes to the big games, John, they just don't look a threat.
Yeah, they look as if they lack belief in it, Eamon. I thought it was a very poor game for such top teams, for the Chelsea, Manchester United. But I thought Chelsea just about deserved to win it. I think there was more about them in the second half to try and win it.
Yeah.
United didn't look as if they don't have that belief, Eamon, I don't think, to go and take these teams on and have the confidence and belief to beat them.
Yes.
I just don't see it there. And that was typical of the game on the weekend, because, I thought Chelsea were on top without really creating many chances.
Yeah,
but United did nothing really.
There's an issue arising with United, and I'm kind of almost reluctant to raise it, but I think Bruno Fernandes has been a really good signing. But in the big games against the big teams, I'm thinking particularly of Liverpool and the Chelsea game yesterday. Also, when they played City, he doesn't really turn up, or hasn't. I don't know if you agree with that. I think, but people are beginning to talk about it. I wondered what you thought about it, John.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's his temperament, Eamon, or his belief. I just think when they're playing against better teams, that he's not a type of player that controls the game, Eamon. He's a brilliant player at what he does, which is an attacking midfield player.
Yes.
He doesn't get a grip of the games, so he needs people in those big matches to be able to do that, to release him, to do where he's to come into the game where he's really good.
Yes.
He can do that against the lesser teams, but when he gets against the top teams, they don't allow that to happen.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do,
I don't know if I'm explaining it.
No, you are. I understand. There are certain things. He's very clever. He's very industrious. He's a very good passer of the ball. He can make goals. He can and he's a very good finisher. He has a lot of qualities. One of the things, but what you're saying is he does need other people to do a bit of donkey work to get the ball for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you need the balance. You need somebody in midfield to supply him with the ball in the positions where he's most dangerous.
Yes. Yeah.
United don't have anybody to do that for him.
No. That's right.
Because he gets ahead of the ball, Eamon. Now he needs somebody to supply him.
Yes.
If nobody's supplying him, he's not going to get the ball, and he's not going to do what he's really good at.
Yep.
See, when they get the game first, they were still describing it as a midfield player. He's not really a midfield player, Eamon.
No.
He's a goal-scoring player coming from midfield.
Yeah.
So he's not a schemer, as we used to say. When Paul Scholes played, Paul Scholes could get the ball from back to front. He linked it up. I mean, what they need there is Paul Scholes to get the ball to him into positions where he's really, really dangerous at goal scoring and making goals. So when he's playing the way he's playing in these big matches against the top teams, There's nobody to give it to him.
Yes, that's right. No, it makes complete sense. Just one other observation about him is his upper body strength. He's quite a lightweight. All the top players always have that sort of wiry toughness, upper body strength. Nearly all of them. He doesn't appear to have that kind of strength.
I think he's okay in that, Eamon.
You do, yeah.
I do. I think he's okay in that. I think he's aggressive enough, and when he gets into positions to do it.
I mean, he's been a great signing. He scored an awful lot of goals.
Yeah, he's a special player, Eamon.
Yes,
he is a special player. That what he does, he's absolutely. That's why the other lad that they bought from Holland. They can't have the two of them in there.
Donny van de Beek.
Yeah, he's similar.
He's dead.
He's not good.
He's not even.
He can't put him on to supply Fernandes with the ball because he doesn't do that either.
No, he's actually on the bench every week. I don't think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer bought him. John Woodward must have bought him.
I don't think he buys any of them, Eamon, to be honest.
42 million was a lot.
Yeah, you got to get a balance. If you go back to Manchester United again when you had Keane and you had Scholes and you had Beckham and these, they were all different types of players in different positions.
Yeah,
You can't have two lads. It's like playing a left back game, and the two left backs you've got are two great left backs with left-footed lads.
Yeah,
but you can only play one of them.
Yeah,
you can't play two of them. So I think that's the situation with Manchester United with Fernandes. So when it is close matches, you're absolutely right. He's not as influential, anywhere near as influential as he is when they're playing the lesser teams, because he's getting into positions and gets service when he's playing against the lesser teams.
No,
but they were poor. I didn't think Manchester United were good.
No,
you never know with this new lad at Chelsea, Eamon. We'll have to give him a little bit more time. He has an approach, as we saw when he left the lad out and that. Now the players have to buy into that or not buy into that.
He left Kante out. He left Kante out.
He's back in again.
He's back in again,
He's going to see all those players. But when he was at Paris Saint-Germain last year, Eamon, I thought he made a huge difference to them.
Right. Yeah.
I know they sacked him in that sense, but I thought he made a huge difference to him. I think in the long run, if he gets over the next 3-4 weeks, that they do actually buy into what he wants, I think he'll do well there.
Okay. Now, John, a week or two ago, I think I was talking to you, or maybe I was talking to myself, but I thought, Mourinho's gone. He's lost that team. They're not putting it in for him.
Yeah.
And I think I could see the writing on the wall. Yesterday, they beat Burnley, who are admittedly, they're dogged, but they're not much more than that. 4-0. And Gareth Bale scored 2 goals. And you had a front three, Harry Kane, Son, and Gareth Bale. If you got those 3 on song, John, you'd have some forward line. Gareth Bale has been there for a couple of months. He hasn't started many games, but he sure started yesterday, scored in the second minute, scored in the second half as well. It would be lovely to see Gareth Bale really blossom at Spurs and really, if you like, have a good end to what has been in many ways a glittering career.
Yeah, he had mixed spell at Real Madrid, as we know, Eamon. I think he won 4 Champions League medals with them, and was never really accepted by the crowd for you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A most peculiar career, and now he's come back. And again, it's the Mourinho situation, Eamon. I think it's always hard love with him, if that's the right expression.
Tough love.
And he didn't give him a chance. He put him on. He didn't take. And that doesn't do anybody's confidence any good, whether it be Bale or anybody else. But I would agree with you yesterday. They looked a real team, and the threats from Bale, Son, and Harry. Harry Kane is extraordinary.
Yes.
Now, we'd have to see them again, Eamon. Burnley were terrible yesterday.
Yes.
They were really poor. I know normally they're dogged and they're good at what they do. They were nothing yesterday, really nothing.
Yeah.
So it was an easy match for Spurs. But I watching it again. And we hadn't spoken. I would agree with you. I thought, God, if these fellas really get these three going,
Yeah.
they're going to be a threat to anybody because they're pretty good at the back and they've got a lot of good players. Spurs,
they've dropped off the pace a bit. They're 8th in the table, below Everton, below West Ham, and below Leicester. Let me talk to you briefly. But if they get a run on Spurs, it won't take long to get up the table. They really need to be in the Champions League places, don't they?
But they've got a chance now, Eamon. With those three up front, I mean, I don't think there's any club in the country in the Premiership have that type of power with these lads playing the way they can possibly play. So I was like you last week. I thought Mourinho, he's moaning and groaning and he's gone in that. But I could see a bit of light, definitely see a lot of light yesterday in the way they played.
Now,
it could come back.
Two clubs fighting for a Champions League place strongly, Leicester City and Arsenal. Arsenal look a bit out of it now. They're way down in the bottom half of the table almost. Leicester are banged there, John, just a point behind Manchester United. And we know Brendan Rodgers, good coach. But Arsenal got a remarkable result there. They were 1-0 down after 5 or 6 minutes, and then they won 3-1, which is... I think Arteta is doing a decent job there, given all the rubbish that he inherited, and he inherited a lot of non-triers.
Well, they were impressive yesterday, Eamon.
Yeah,
definitely. They beat Leicester well, and played well. There's no doubt about that. And Leicester are a very good team, as you say. It's so difficult at times. You see them doing what they did yesterday, and you think, they're coming back now.
Yeah,
like we're talking about Spurs, because they were impressed with what they can do, and it's obviously consistency now. Eamon.
Yes,
like you see them yesterday, and then you've got to produce that week in and week out.
Yeah,
or else you fall back again. But I'd certainly be more hopeful of them, having watched them in the last couple of weeks, than I was like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Similar to Spurs.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we're entitled to change our minds, Eamon.
Yeah, well, you have to change your minds.
You have to go as it goes. It's a long season and that, So, I think the potential is there for Spurs definitely to do better if they get Bale playing the way he played yesterday. And the potential is there, I think, for Arsenal to do better than they're doing at the moment. This
lad Tierney they got from Celtic for 21 million. I think he's a brilliant player, John. Left back. He's a brilliant player. He's getting goals. Got a great goal the weekend. He gets goals. He got a big goal in the Europa League game as well. He's a really good defender and a really good attacker with a wonderful left foot. And he looked like that at Celtic all the time. I was looking at him there. I thought, this guy should be playing in the Premier League. And he is now. And he's a good player, isn't he? Very good player.
Attitude, Eamon.
Yes, great attitude.
That's your starting point for any player. You get the lads, we've seen them over the years, terrific skills, terrific ability.
Yeah.
And again, you're saying, well, on his day, he can do this, and on his day, he can do that. The top players have the same attitude. No, they don't play as well every week, but they have the same attitude every week.
Yeah.
And that's your starting point.
Okay, now, sadly, a final mention for Leeds United, Chief.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I know you were watching with your Norman Hunter mask on. Now, Aston Villa 1, Leeds 0 at Leeds. They're still fine. They're 1 point, one place and 2 points below Arsenal in the table. They're not going to get relegated. He's done a really good job. I watched quite a bit of this game, and I never thought Villa were going to lose.
No, it was one. The thing is with Leeds, Eamon, you don't know what they're going to do. There's no consistency about them. They can be brilliant, they can be poor.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was looking forward to the match at the weekend, and they were poor.
Yes.
One of the poor days.
Yeah.
Now, this is the same Villa team that they went to near the start of the season, I think, and beat them 3 or 4-0.
Yeah.
And that's the way they're going to be.
Yes.
the way I'd explain them is they're going to lose matches you don't expect them to lose,
Yeah.
and they're going to win matches you don't expect them to win. There's no consistency about them. When they're good, they're very good, and when they're poor, they're very poor.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a terrible match, to be quite honest. Good luck to Villa; they deserved to win it.
Yeah.
But there was nothing in the game, and from Leeds' point of view, very, very disappointing.
Now, John,
very disappointing.
A bit of sad news. We learned last week that Gordon McQueen, your former colleague in centre half, his family have released the news that he is suffering from dementia, and it's very, very sad. You remember him in his prime, as it were, and he adds to a number of Leeds players who, unfortunately, from your time, have suffered either dementia or Alzheimer's.
Yeah, well, not so. No, Eamon, not so many Alzheimer's. Like Jack Charlton was supposed to have Alzheimer's. Well, he obviously he wasn't good at the end, but Jack's memory was always bad, Eamon.
Yes.
And I saw him at a party with Eddie Gray a few years ago, and he came over to me and said, "John, before we start now," he said, "my memory's not good." Never was good. You used to call the Irish players all different names.
Yes, yeah.
So the lads that died actually at Leeds, Norman didn't die of Alzheimer's. Billy Bremner didn't die of Alzheimer's. Gary Sprake didn't.
Right.
None of the others. Paul Madeley didn't.
Okay.
You know,
I've got my wires crossed there.
Yeah. That's what I'd always say about the Alzheimer's situation, Eamon. The lads I played with at Leeds were 16, 17, maybe 18 of us.
Yes.
None of us,
right.
so far, thank God, apart from Gordon McQueen, who was one of the younger lads,
right,
has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Peter's not well.
Yes.
Lorimer is another one is not well. He's gone into a home. Now, Peter had cancer of the brain.
Yes.
A few years ago, and we thought he was gone then, and he got a lot of brain stuff or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he came around a bit.
Yeah.
He was never the same Peter.
No, he's a great friend of ours.
Well, you know Peter well. You played golf with him. He was a great lad, wasn't he?
He was. We had a wonderful holiday in Vancouver when you were there for 6 weeks, and Peter and I, we gambled, played golf.
Big gambler, Eamon. Big gambler.
I know he was, and we did all kinds of things. Good. And I'm not fessing up at any stage to anything other than golf and gambling. But he was a brilliant player. And a wonderful, and he is, God love him, he's still alive. I'm very sad to hear he's gone into a home.
Yeah, he's not well, Eamon. He's gone into a home. But it wasn't, funny enough, it wasn't the Alzheimer's disease that got our lads. In fact, of the 16, 17 of our lads at that time,
yes.
Gordon is the only one that's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Well, thank God for that, John.
Yeah,
and it's sad news about Peter. It's very sad news.
He was a good lad. He was a big baby. I mean, he was younger than us. He came in after Jack. Terrific player. Him and Joe Jordan came together. They were chalk and cheese. But he was such an innocent lad. You know, he was unbelievable. He was like a big baby, but enthusiastic baby. With plenty of ability. You know?
were probably saying that about me as well, behind our back.
No, never.
When we were out in Vancouver.
You were older than your age.
Anyway, John, it's great to talk to you, as always, on a Monday, and we're very grateful to John Giles. And the very sad news about Peter Lorimer. If he'd have been playing today, as indeed if John had been playing today, Peter would never have to worry about money or anything else. But we live in a different age and a better age, I think we all think, where players get what they're due, don't they, John?
Yes, definitely. I mean, people say now all players are greedy buggers and they just. I would rather see what the players have today than they had in my time. I don't envy them in any way whatsoever.
And don't begrudge them a penny.
No, nothing. No, I had my time. I won. I always tell people, Eamon, I won the lottery in my day.
Yep.
When it was only, whatever it was, 1,000 quid or something.
Yeah.
Now it's 600,000 quid.
Yeah.
But I won the lottery in my day. And I'm delighted to have played at the time that I played.
Okay, John. Thank you very much for joining us today.